Ren from Hallowed Be Thy Game, and today I'm going to share with you over 70 hidden gems for the Nintendo Switch. Let's check it out. Welcome back to a special episode of Hallowed Be Thy Game, and I am so excited to be sharing with you that if you are seeing this video, that means I have a new son in the world. Yes, my JRPG party has upgraded from 3 to 4, and yes, so while I'm off doing that, I wanted to create a one-stop shop for every hidden gem video we've covered on the channel. Over the past year and a half or so, we have just essentially dug deep, and they're kind of spread out all over the place, so I wanted to kind of make a gathering place so that everyone could kind of see what we've covered, but also leave some critical recommendations down in the comments, because I'm just one dude and it is extremely difficult to cover and see everything. So I'm excited to see what you recommend down in the comments, and if you like the types of videos that you're seeing on the channel, if you want to see more Hidden Gems videos as we head through the rest of this year and on through the years, please let me know by liking and subscribing. It helps out the channel so much, I can't even begin to tell you. And as we hear rumors that the successor to the Switch is maybe coming next year, I wanted to have a chance to just celebrate the Switch. The Switch is one of those consoles that is just one in a million. And honestly, lightning struck so hard for me as it did for so many others. I love this console. Today is a celebration of hidden gems on the Switch, and this beautiful little handheld is chugging with some of the absolute best that gaming can provide. I hope you have a drink, get yourself a snack. This is going to be a massively long video, and I hope you enjoy as we celebrate the Switch. So without further ado, let's get started. Undernaughts Labyrinth of Yomi. This is my most recent acquisition in Hidden Gem, and as someone who loves JRPGs so much, you can be plagued by choice and there's just too much. But I want to go ahead and state that getting into Undernaughts has been a phenomenal experience. This was recommended to me as someone who loves 7 Dragon 3 Code VFD on the 3DS. It allows you to build your own party, but Undernaughts has this excellent, dark, and eerie, almost like Lovecraftian unknown horror vibe. It's excellent. It is a first-person dungeon crawler, so there is that. However, if you're open to that genre, this is a must-own and must-play hidden gem that I fully believe years from now will be sung as one of the best turn-based games that came out for the Switch that wasn't one of the major titles. Undernaughts Labyrinth of Yomi, don't miss out on it, pick it up. Now, as of the recording of this video, it is the Halloween season, and there is no better time to jump into some spooky games. Now, one that I do feel receives a lot of praise, but I think for the major Switch goers, this is still a hidden gem, and that is the Coma Games. That's right. You can get these physically in the Coma Double Cut packet, but this is an excellent kind of hide-and-seek horror game. It definitely has very terrifying visuals. This lands the ambiance of being hunted so well. I love the art scheme in this game. It's honestly what kept me going despite being a scaredy cat. But hey, if I can get into this game, it's just proof that anyone can. It's a great time. They're not long games, but I definitely feel that the second one just is taking the series in a direction that I really loved. And you can catch this game on some incredible good deals, both physically and digitally. Just keep an eye out for it. And I'm assuming with the Halloween season, this is going to be a great time to be diving into this for the Nintendo Switch. An excellent game to play with the lights off and your headphones on. Phenomenal experience, and one that I think any horror fan should not miss out on. Now, for longtime viewers of the channel, you will know how much I love the Metroidvania genre, and I'm always keeping my eye out for some quality games. Now, one that is definitely a diamond in the rough, but a hidden gem nonetheless, is Overlord Escape from Nazarick. I do want to let you know this is an anime adaptation, but as a fan of the Overlord anime, this is an excellent love letter to that series, and you follow the exploits of kind of a unique character. I'll just leave it there for anybody who's wanting to get into the anime. It's a fantastic show, and I love this game. It is a Metroidvania, and it's surprisingly quality with one area exception that has some pretty steep frame rate issues, so if you're sensitive to that, you are warned. But for the price you can get this at both digitally and physically through PlayAsia, I think this is a great, excellent hidden gem, and I think it's one that's only going to shine with age. I'm hoping they continue to release patches to address the frame rate issues in just one smaller section of the game. That didn't slow me down from having a blast with this game, and it is so much fun. I love the pixel art. I'm such a sucker for it, but this one not only pays homage to the series, but it does it with such gorgeous pixel art graphics. I love this game, and anyone who's a fan of the Overlord anime, genuinely a must-own, an excellent hidden gem on the Nintendo Switch. Now, one genre I am getting into more, you know, if everybody who knows I love the Dark Souls series, Elden Ring and all that, they're like, you got to get into the Monster Hunter games. I don't know why I've been so slow to this party. However, one that is absolutely winning me over is God Eater 3. An absolutely excellent Monster Hunter type game. I love the anime characters in this. The combat is fun and fluid. It's action-packed. It's a lot of fun, and it's one that you can still play with your friends. And really, for the edgelord anime fan deep down in my heart, this hits all the right synapses. God Eater 3, a very hidden gem for the Monster Hunter fans. Check it out. Now, I'm going to hit two games at the same time here, and they're actually two different styles of games, but they're a part of the same series, and that is Umihara Kawase Fresh and Umihara Kawase Bazooka. Now, to start off with Fresh, this is one of the most unique physics-based platformers I've ever played before. Genuinely, I've never played anything before or after this. This is an extremely unique game. I'm not saying it's the only one of its type out there, but for me, it's the only one I've experienced. This is not going to be one that's for everybody. However, if you are a fan of cute, beautiful, colorful graphics and just an extremely distinct physics-based platformer, for sure, right up your alley. You actually are able to platform with a fishing pole. Very weird, but it worked for me. I had a lot of fun with this, and this can still be acquired dirt cheap, which is excellent because, you know, that's not always the case with Switch games, especially hidden gems. Now, another game that is very cheap in this series to get, but I have so much fun with it, is Umihara Kawase Bazooka. This is almost like an arena fighter of sorts, but it kind of has a very retro old school feel to me that you would play on like Sega Genesis or like Super Nintendo, something like that. But the graphics are just gorgeous, they pop, and just to be able to fight through these different levels and the bazooka kind of physics and stuff like that was just really fun. And a very big surprise to me, but totally one that I hardly ever hear anyone talk about this game. Umihara Kawase Bazooka. Of the two, I think this is probably the most palatable to not as niche an audience, but I love them both so much and I can't recommend them enough. Next up is Shining Resonance Refrain. I genuinely think this is an underrated hidden gem on the Switch. You have this gorgeous medieval fantasy setting, very unique kind of lore with the song magic. But what I really have found here is that the characters and the party interaction was extremely endearing to me. To be able to go out on these quests and fight these different dragons and such like that, it's just comfort food to me. Shining Resonance Refrain is genuinely what I would call a JRPG fan's comfort food. You have solid, serviceable combat and mechanics, which honestly, this combat system kind of, in a way, reminds me slightly of like Xenoblade 2. That's a little bit of a stretch, but just with the kind of the layout and just the way party interacts with different monsters and boss designs and mechanics, this is a more than serviceable JRPG that I know has some passionate fans, but it's still just in the hidden gem territory, and I feel that JRPG fans out there are doing themselves a disservice by not at least trying it. So definitely give this one a look if you're looking for some comfort food in the JRPG scene. Now, speaking of comfort food and nostalgia, we have I Am Setsuna. This at one time was not, I would call, a hidden gem or underrated, but as the Switch has kind of progressed along, there has just been this mountain of content that you just are getting swamped by, and nobody talks about I Am Setsuna anymore. If you love Chrono Trigger and you're wanting to hit that Chrono Trigger feel in terms of dual tech attacks and such like that, the progression systems with learning abilities, I Am Setsuna is for you. It has a very unique soundtrack with an all-piano score. It has a gorgeous, lush, snowy environment with kind of a chibi setting of characters, which can be, not for everyone. I'll admit that. I wasn't a big fan of it at first, but it grew on me. The characters and the story are beautiful and endearing. It felt very real. It's a nice change of pace if you're kind of over the anime tropes that can kind of pervade the JRPG scene here. Hey, I love them too, but sometimes you want something to switch it up. I Am Setsuna is for you. Fantastic experience, and definitely one for Chrono Trigger fans. Next up, we have one of my most recent games that have just blew my mind, and I cannot believe it's not talked about more, is Fightn Rage. If you love Street Fighter 4, heck, if you love the TMNT Shredder's Revenge games and all of those, and you're looking for something different and you're looking for something to hit that itch, Fightn Rage is for you. If you hate anime games, do not be dissuaded by the over-the-top anime characters in this, because, God, I freaking love that. But this game is so fun. It's satisfying. Hitting combos in this, fighting an annoying enemy and just pulverizing it to where it just friggin' explodes across the screen. You're like, oh my God, it's just so freaking good. Fightn Rage hits that primal aspect of what beat-em-ups should be. It's a well-tuned game that has excellent and vast replayability with multiple endings and just being able to have character unlocks, skin unlocks. Fantastic. Genuinely, I'm not exaggerating here, one of my favorite beat-em-ups of all time. It looks excellent. They knew what they were doing. They made this game for me, but I'm willing to share it with you all and tell you this is a must-own for beat-em-up fans. Now, I love me my Diablo games. I love Diablo 2 so much, and one that absolutely is a hidden gem is Remilore, Lost Girl in the Lands of Lore. Now, Remilore is a fantastic Diablo clone. It's very simple on the surface, but it's fun and well composed. I just played another one here recently called Zengen. I wanted to recommend it to you, but it's honestly lacking in a lot of the quality that Remilore has, and you can still get Remilore at a decent price. I'm sure keep an eye on it for it to go on sale, but Remilore is a fantastic Diablo clone. It's one that I used to kind of hear whisperings about a while ago, but again, with this mountain of choice on the Switch, this is just getting pushed further and further back in people's consciousness. Remilore is a must-own for Diablo fans. There's not a ton of fan service or anything like that in this game, but don't let that cutesy aesthetic fool you. There is a fun, excellent quality Diablo clone in here. I had a ton of fun with it. It's a short, fun game to play and hit and go on the run. Can't recommend it enough. Remilore, pick it up. Now, for my last game on today's list, I have one of my favorite Metroidvania games that's a hidden gem to share with you, and that is Dead or School. Oh my God. Okay, so imagine like a Metroid style game mixed with Diablo. I know I just talked about Diablo with Remilore, but in Dead or School, you have this progression system where you find weapons, you can modify them, there's some RNG elements with those weapons, but you build there's multiple build options to where you can have a physical damage build, a ranged build. There's just a lot going on here, and it's surprising because on the surface, you think this is just anime clickbait service, and it does have that, but underneath that, there's a quality game, and it's totally slipping under the radar for so many people. Dead or School is absolutely one of the best hidden gems on the Switch. You can mark this video in your memory and come back 6 years from now when bigger YouTubers are talking about how much of a hidden gem Dead or School is. Fantastic game, and yes, dare I say, a must-own hidden gem for Metroidvania fans. Metal Max Xeno Reborn. I had the privilege of being able to review this game. I said it in my review, and it still holds true. Metal Max Xeno Reborn is genuinely a hidden gem. I'm not going to state that every game on today's list is for everyone, especially Metal Max Xeno. However, if you're looking for some like old school PS2 fun, this is where it's at. I had a ton of fun with just building and customizing my tanks and going around this apocalyptic wasteland with these kind of quirky, wild, and cool characters, kind of like literally Mad Max, but JRPG. It's just an excellent and kind of refreshing take on like an action RPG genre mixed with almost like a Final Fantasy 12 type battle system. It's not the easiest game. However, I do have a tips and tricks on this game. I'll have those linked down in the description. But really, if you're looking for something off the wall and different that breaks the mold, Metal Max Xeno Reborn is where it's at. I definitely highly recommend it. Now, next up on today's list is Caladrius Blaze. I love this game, and shmups to me are a great kind of way to break up long playthroughs from JRPGs. I love long RPGs. Right now I'm making my way through Merwin. I love to hop into a shmup before I hop into a massive JRPG. Anyways, the gameplay systems in this are very fun and addictive. I am head over heels for this art style. This artist is one of my favorites in all of gaming. You know I love the Devil Survivor series so much, but honestly, just the over-the-top antics of this game, it's definitely got fan service for days, but it's a fun, quality shmup, and definitely worth checking out if you're looking for something to mix up long gameplay sessions. Now, for those of you who are looking for old-school difficulty, but a quality game, Gigantic Army is for you. I love mechs. I'm a sucker for all things mech and Gundam, and Gigantic Army is just an amazing callback to older retro styles games. If this was a port or something from another system, I don't know. I first played it on the Switch, and honestly, this game is very difficult but extremely addictive. For sure, turns the difficulty up to 11 no matter what setting you play it on. Definitely a cool game to hit that old school itch. If you're going to have some friends over and they're all looking for an old school retro hard time, this is the game to put in. For sure a must play, and definitely a worthy challenge for those who need that extra push. Now, as of the recording of this video, it is still the spooky season. It is upon us. It is almost the Hallow's End. So what better way to do that than with Sense, a Cyberpunk ghost story? Now, this is a very interesting entry. I almost liken it to like as close as I could think of like a point and click genre mixed with like a hiding, almost like you would see with the Coma games. Just you're going to be hiding, you're going to be solving puzzles, a very interesting, cool story. Cyberpunk aesthetic, very cool character illustrations, genuinely had me spooked and on edge more than once. It is a little bit of jank, I will say that. However, if you're willing to look past that, there is a great, heartfelt, unique story here that I had a lot of fun with, and it's a short game that you can get in before Halloween hits. Since a Cyberpunk ghost story, check it out. Now I'm going to be throwing a curveball for genres here, and I'm going to give you a visual novel. This is a genre that I am pretty new to. However, when I find a story that clicks with me, I absolutely have to share it with you all. And the Fault series is quickly skyrocketing as one of my favorite visual novel series. Fault Milestone One is the first entry to come to the Switch. Now, a word of warning, the subsequent entries you'll find on PC, they're not on Switch yet, but I'm still hopeful that they get ports. However, here you have this contained, heartfelt story with incredible story writing. The character building is on point. It is a lovely, yet sometimes tragic story. I just love these games so much. I'm very much a new fan to these series, but for those who are looking for a visual novel that doesn't quite get the notoriety that some others do, you're looking for something unique, Fault Milestone One is definitely a worthy game to pick up and experience. Black Future 88 is a part of the roguelike genre, and for those OLED Switch owners out there, if you're looking for a game that looks jaw-droppingly good on the Switch, it has to be this game. The neon cyberpunk aesthetic is just mesmerizing. The particle effects in this, it looks excellent. The gameplay is a little difficult to get into. However, if you stick with it, there are some really cool systems here and weapons for you to experiment with. Roguelike genres similar to shmups are just excellent games for me to hit and run in between these massive games. If I'm maybe stuck somewhere for a little bit and I got a little bit of time, why not do a round of a roguelite? And this is absolutely one to check out. I genuinely believe this is a quality game, and if you're a fan of Dead Cells and that type of game, and you're looking for more, this is a game that I feel slips under the radar for quite a few people. Black Future 88, pick it up if you're looking for a fun challenge. Now, next up, you knew I couldn't stay away from the JRPGs too long, and we have Death End Request 1 and 2. I'm lumping these both together here because Death in Request 2 can still be obtained rather easily physically. Obviously, all these games are obtainable digitally and they go on sale. However, Death in Request 1 and 2, the first one just got a reprinting, and so you should be able to catch that at a decent sale, and Death in Request 2 is still obtainable at retail. Now, I want to say these are phenomenal, unique JRPGs. It has a horror aesthetic, so I wanted to make sure to get these in before Halloween. The story is shockingly addicting. Now, Compile-Heart is a name I didn't really know much about just a few years ago. However, this developer has quickly just garnered so much love and respect for me. I love their games. They have a certain aesthetic to them. They have a certain playstyle to them. But the physics type engine mixed with the JRPG turn-based combat, it's addictive. It's fun. I love this game. I love the characters, and the story is haunting. It's alluring, and it had me hooked. And both of these games are must-own, must-plays for fans of JRPGs on the Switch. Death in Request 1 and 2, pick them up. Now, I had to go ahead and sneak in another shmup here, but this is a brand new one. If you're looking for a physical copy, it is still obtainable on Amazon. This isn't a physical Switch video, however, I just want to throw that out there because I had a request in a previous video. However, let me get this name out. Miss Kobayashi's Dragamade Burst Forth Corrigan Breath. Please forgive me for the pronunciation. Anyways, what we have here is an over-the-top fan service shmup. I know, you're shocked. However, it's a fun game. Oh my god. This is such a fun, easy, introductory shmup to fans. Okay, if you're like me, you're a noob at shmups, but you love them and you want to play more of them, and this is an anime tie-in game, so just a heads up, in the future, these become nasty to find. Anyways, it's a fun game at its heart. Definitely pick this up if you're looking for just a serviceable, fun, introductory shmup. Okay, I am digging deep on this one. I got my miner's hat on, and we are digging deep for the hidden gems. I have a rather unique action RPG, JRPG for you, and that is Eternal Radiance. Now, if you are open to a visual novel story development mixed with a fun, simple action RPG setting, this is definitely the game for you. There are such cute and quirky characters here. It's a really feel-good story. This is, and I've mentioned these type of games before, a comfort food JRPG for fans. It is not an extremely long game or anything like that. This is definitely one that you can have fun with, I would say, over an extended weekend. Definitely one that I have had a surprising amount of fun with. I'm not going to lie to you. Depth this game does not have. This is a rather simple surface level action RPG. However, that said, it's a comfort food game and definitely one I would hate for you all to miss out on. Eternal Radiance, a hidden gem in my book. Now, coming up on the end of today's list, I got two games for you, both of which I rarely ever hear anyone talk about, but the first one is Empire of Angels 4. This is an SRPG, but if you've watched any of my 3DS videos here lately, you will know how much I loved Lord of Magna Made in Heaven. I love that game. It has a rather weird but kind of funny chibi art style. This game is essentially all that with gorgeous character portraits, an over-the-top story with really good music. Is it rough around the edges? Sure. Is it a comfort food SRPG? Sure. But what the heck is wrong with that? This is surprisingly fun. It had me laughing and giggling multiple times, intentionally by the way, but it's just a fun game. It's not overly long. However, it's a quality game. I had fun with it. It's definitely an introductory SRPG, which I think is fine. Not everything needs to have an in-depth, crazy combat system. But if you're looking to dip your toe into the SRPG genre, you're okay with chibi art style, a little bit muted graphics, however, gorgeous, lush colors, beautiful character portraits, Empire of Angels 4 is definitely one to add to your must-play catalog. And the last game on today's list is Dragon Star Varnir. This is a game that is deliciously unique. It's very interesting in that combat will take place on like 3 different planes, and you have this management sim with your characters to try to fight off something really dangerous happening to them. I don't want to give away anything too much here, but it's just a really fun, kind of darker JRPG with a lush, deep world. I really like the lore and characters, and this is the newest one for me. I am still actively making my way through this one right now. But I'm loving what I'm seeing, and I want to get this one out as soon as I can because this one just recently got a reprint as well. But it goes quick, and I'll be honest, I can see why, because this is just a really fun game. And I feel like Compile Art can just continually make these extremely alluring worlds just with this deep lore. It's a lot of fun. The gameplay and combat systems are on point. This is honestly one that flew under the radar so hard for me, and I don't want it to be the same for you. Dragonstar Varnir, pick this up if you need a unique quality JRPG to dive into for the Nintendo Switch. Now, while the Langrisser series isn't necessarily the most hidden gem of a series out there, I do believe it doesn't get the respect it deserves from the masses. So Langrisser 1 and 2 got a remake for the Nintendo Switch, and it plays fantastic. I just picked this up over the holidays. I'm having an absolute blast with it. It is a dose of retro SRPG goodness. This is definitely a must-own for those who are looking for a classic SRPG strategy experience. It's very satisfying. There is a nice level of challenge here. It's definitely going to be putting your mind to work, but hey, you know, the SRPG fans are always looking for that. I love the music, and you are able to switch back to the retro look of the game if you are not liking the new character designs. However, I kind of like both ways, so it was kind of tough for me to choose between the two. Anyways, definitely pick this up, and if there's any Langrisser fans out there, let me know down in the comments. Now, I don't often delve into the racer genre. However, Horizon Chase Turbo is, I believe, one of the best racers to come out in recent memory. It just catches that excellent old school retro, kind of like Sega Master System or Sega Genesis aesthetic, but it has these bright colors, popping visuals. I love it. It's extremely addicting to play. Every friend that I've been able to get to play this game has absolutely loved it. I think this is, without a question, a must-own, and it is an incredible game to play on the go. I still play this from time to time, and this is, without a doubt, any racing fan's must-own game. Now, Maglam Lord is one of my most recent pickups. However, I have been finding myself being lost in this game. This is a little rough around the edges. However, you don't come to Hallowed Be Thy Game for the creme de la creme, top of the crust, snob picks for games. This is fun. This is just pure, unadulterated fun. This is a genre mashup between like an action RPG meets a dating sim, kind of delivered in a visual novel style. However, I love the aesthetic to this game. The character designs and combat are very cute and kind of chibi fun. However, the visual novel dating sim aspect of it is definitely got a lot of charm. It's got a lot of flair, and I love these character designs. It's fantastic. The hours are kind of melting away as I'm diving into this game, and I think for anyone who is kind of in a rut and looking for something different, something to kind of spice it up that is off the beaten path, Maglam Lord is definitely going to be for you. It's going to hit that action RPG itch. It's also going to be for those who need that little dating sim goodness in their life. Maglam Lord, pick it up. Now, next up for you, I couldn't ignore the JRPG genre for too long, and I went ahead and I've dove into another quintessential Compile Heart game. Look, for those of you who are new to the channel, I'm a fan of Compile Heart games. Yes, they're rough around the edges. You don't need to keep reminding me in the comments. However, I freaking love that stuff. And this turn-based RPG is quality. Fairy Fencer F, Advent Dark Force. Yes, it is rough around the edges, but I don't care. You got fun, quality, interesting characters with amazing character designs. I love the combat system. The progression path and everything is extremely addictive, and I freaking love the aesthetic to this game. This is JRPG comfort food, and I will die on that hill. No one cares about your IGN 10 out of 10 snob games. Look, Compile Heart is where it's at. I freaking love these games, and I absolutely think that if you are burned out on games and gaming culture, you need to check out Compile Heart games, okay? That's it. Fairy Fencer F, Advent Dark Force. Put it on your radar or not. Daemon X Machina was mocked into the ground when it released, and no way, the second people started playing it, turns out it was a really fun mech game, and I will die on this hill. Daemon X Machina is an extremely amazing game, and now that everybody's suddenly become an Armored Core fan out of the blue, why not dive into Daemon X Machina, which is a quality mech RPG. Freaking love this game. It is so addictive. The story is non-existent unless they've patched one in since I played it. But we don't play these mech games just for the story. Look, it's really fun just to be able to customize. The battle system is very introductory friendly to people who are new to the genre, but it has an extremely amazing aesthetic. It runs great on Switch. I think this is a quintessential must-own mech RPG, and the fact that it's on the Switch and you can play it on the go, heck yeah, that's a win-win. Definitely pick up Daemon X Machina and get yourself ready for the new Armored Core game. To show a little bit of love to the shmup genre, I think Ghostblade HD is a must-own, must-play. This is a great introductory shmup. If you're done kind of basking in the ultra easy mode and you kind of want to learn and get better at the genre, this is one that I had to kind of sit down and really apply myself to be able to get through on just the normal difficulty. But it is one that is extremely fun and rewarding. The aesthetics, the lights, the numbers, it is fantastic. It plays great. It looks even better. Look, I'm telling you, Ghostblade HD is a quality shmup, and it is one that I think any fan of the genre needs to kind of treat themselves and try out if you haven't already. Now, I am going to kind of dial back from Ultra Hidden Gem, and I'm going to cover one that I would be shocked if most of you hadn't at least heard of. Despite a lot of people hearing about Blasphemous, not a lot of people have played it, and that's a mistake. You're doing it wrong. Look, Metroidvania at its finest. Blasphemous released in kind of a rougher condition. However, the devs have kept up with this game. It has done nothing but improve in quality. You have free, let me repeat that, free DLC. It is excellent quality. There's a sequel coming out. This is a gothic horror Metroidvania. It plays excellent. The progression paths in this are so quality. To be able to get the secret ending was one of the most fun I've had in a Metroidvania in recent memory. Look, I'm telling you, Blasphemous has rocketed itself to easily top 5 favorite Metroidvanias for me, and I'm not even exaggerating. I think it is that good. If you are in any way maybe have just played Elden Ring and you're kind of wanting to get into that kind of gothic, dark fantasy vibe and setting, Blasphemous is where it's at. I will warn you, this game is very, very gory, okay? And that might put people off. However, if you're okay with rated M games, I think this is one that you absolutely owe to yourself to try out. Blasphemous, to me, is kind of like a hallmark and a bellwether of if you have quality taste in games. Blasphemous, check it out. Now, sticking to the Metroidvania genre, we have Momodora. Now, this one kind of achieved internet fame there for a while, but it has fallen into obscurity once again. Look, it is a quality Metroidvania. It does have some hard difficulty spikes, but this is just fun. And to play it on Switch is kind of where it's at. If you have a new Switch OLED, it looks freaking jaw-dropping on it. I love it. And I'm really hoping Lost Ruins comes to Switch. I know that's kind of random out there, but I think Lost Ruins and Momodora kind of hit the same feel for me. Definitely check that out on Steam if you haven't. However, Momodora is definitely one that I think everyone owes it to themselves to play. The quality sprites, you have waifu bosses. Look, it's just where it's at. It's a lot of fun. And for me, it's extremely addicting. Metroidvanias, to me, are the ultimate kind of in-between game for these large RPGs that I usually find myself getting lost in. But Momodora is a quality game that you need to try, and it's always cheap digitally on the Switch eShop. There were physical runs, I'm pretty sure, for every game on today's list, although unfortunately some of them were limited run, and we all know how much that can kind of bite to get an aftermarket. Anyways, definitely still available digitally, and it's a must-own. Check it out. Now, probably the most hidden of hidden gems on today's list, and I know I'm going to pronounce it wrong, so please let me know down in the comments, but Marenian Tavern Story. Look, I don't often talk or cover Kemco RPGs, but I'm still kind of new to Kemco games, and I'm kind of dipping my toes in. However, this Atelier clone kind of reached out and grabbed me. Look, this pixel art is gorgeous. The Atelier feel to this game, the turn-based combat, the cooking, the tavern running simulator, look, it's got a lot going for it. Is it a little grindy? Sure, but if you're in the mood for kind of some old school Atelier games, maybe like you're missing the PS2 era of JRPGs, this is where it's at. This is genuinely a hidden gem. And yes, there is a physical copy for this, but it's not for the Switch. However, it is cheap and I believe on sale right now. definitely check this up. It's going to be easy on your wallet, it's going to be fun on the eyes, and you're going to have fun playing it. Definitely give this one a shot. Now, 3000th Duel is one that had kind of eluded my gaze for quite some time, but I do contend that it is absolutely a hidden Metroidvania gem for the Nintendo Switch. We're showing a lot of love to the Metroidvania genre here lately, but hey, that's the mood I'm in, and that's all I can share with you is what I'm feeling. Look, I love the aesthetic to this. The world building and everything is definitely there. The combat can take a little bit to get used to, but once it clicks, you're going to be finding yourself just melting hours away playing this game. I had a lot of fun with it. It's definitely one that I do not hear talked about quite a lot, and that's a shame. 3000th Duel, it's one that's hooked me, but is there anyone out there watching who's played it? Let everyone know what you thought of it down in the comments. Now, Fate Extella Link and Fate Extella the Umbral Star are Muso genre games. Now, I will say this, I find these to be guilty pleasures. They are freaking fun. Look, I don't know anything about the Fate anime or anything like that. I've heard they're a lot of fun and I would enjoy them. However, I freaking love the games. The character designs, the in-game models mixed with just the jaw-dropping, gorgeous character models are just fantastic. It's an addictive Muso game. It's not complicated. It is absolutely, you just hop in and you slaughter hordes and hordes of monsters. You hop between levels to recruit all the characters and then work your way towards the true ending. But look, this is one I still find myself returning to if I'm maybe going on a trip or I'm stuck in the car for a while. I will absolutely go in. I love this game. It is definitely one that I don't ever hear anyone talk about, and that's a shame because these are quality, guilty pleasure Muso games. Now, I'm going to throw one out of left field here, and it's one that I don't hear anyone talk about anymore, but I still think this is a quality hidden gem, and that is Poison Control. Look, this is a genre matchup for kind of a JRPG. You're going to be combining this over-the-shoulder shooter with being able to clear out poison. Look, you just got to look at combat. You just got to look up this game. It is so weird. I've never played another game like that, and look, that's what a hidden gem's all about. I have unadulterated fun with this game. The character models and everything are cute and quirky. I love it. I'm such a sucker for just the bright colors. Again, I find myself losing time to this game. I still love to come back to it. It's a lot of fun and just kind of like a weird ASMR thing to clear out maps and such like that. Anyways, Poison Control, has anyone out there played this game? Please help me to share the love for it down in the comments. I couldn't stay away from the Metroidvania genre for too long in this video. I don't know, guys. I just got a huge itch to play them. Anyways, A Robot Named Fight. This takes the roguelite genre and mashes it with the Metroidvania genre. And it works. You know, runs in this can definitely be tough. You know, roguelites can be hit or miss. When you find yourself falling into the groove of this game, it's hard to get it out of your veins, man. I'm telling you, it is extremely addicting. I love it. And really, this is one that I had kind of heard whisperings and murmurs about from like a couple of YouTubers, and I kept putting it off because there's just so much freaking stuff to play. But I'm happy I finally have dove into it. I'm telling you, Robot Named Fight, if you're having an itch for an endless fun Metroidvania game, you gotta give this one a shot. Now, the main reason I wanted to put this entire list together is because of Smelter. Look, this game completely blindsided me. It has sucked me right in. The best way I can describe Smelter is like Mega Man meets ActRaiser. To me, Smelter is just hitting it on all notes. It looks fan-frickin-tastic. The pixel art here is creme de la creme good, but also you have extremely fun kind of Mega Man Metroidvania style of combat. I cannot get enough of that. I will eat it up all day, every day. I love this world that you're in. You're kind of in like... okay, you play as Eve. Yeah, the Adam and Eve. Anyways, besides not being biblically accurate, it is absurdly fun. Now look, there is kind of a strategy defense side of it if you've ever played ActRaiser or something like that. However, even though it can be a little daunting at first, you get into the groove pretty quick. There's a ton of resources online if you ever get stuck or something like that. But anyways, I love this game. I freaking love it. I hear no one ever talk about this game though. And that's really a crying shame. Now, this is just recently getting a physical release through like Red Print Games or like Play Asia, I believe. Not a sponsor, can't get past their spam mail. I'm not bitter. Anyways, though, this game is a must-own. You gotta play it. you just really got to play it. And, you know, like 5-10 years from now, when, like, people are talking about how this is a big hidden gem and such like that, you can say you heard it here first. Smelter, it friggin' slaps on all cylinders. If you need more pixel Mega Man gameplay in your life with a unique twist, Smelter is where it's at. Pick it up. And rounding out the end of today's video, it is a game that I do not assume is going to be considered a hidden gem for much longer, and that is Infernax. Look, if you love old school Castlevania games and you are dying for some body horror thing, Lovecraftian horror, you gotta check this one out. This is one of the newest games that I've been diving into, but let me tell you, it is shockingly fun. I did not think I was going to be heavily into this, because even though I grew up in the NES generation, I've not been mega nostalgic for games that look like that just yet. I mean, I think I'm still kind of just holding out for Curse of the Moon 3 to come. Anyways, Infernax, it hits all the right notes. It is fun. It's unforgiving at times, but just to be able to have the different choices and to be able to progress your way through this kind of Castlevania, Simon's Quest type feeling world mixed with just Lovecraftian nightmares, it's really good. Hellraiser meets Castlevania. You can't really go wrong. Infernax, check it out. Now, Evil Tonight is a fantastic kind of retro Resident Evil. Almost think like if Resident Evil had been on the Super Nintendo. It is a fantastic kind of isometric, very eerie, spooky pixel art game. Really, it has a fantastic depth of difficulty to it. Now, this is kind of renowned for being a tougher game. However, I do want to kind of assuade those who are not really looking for a hard challenge. There are multiple difficulty options to this, and the easiest of which will definitely help kind of ease you into the story, the world, and combat. But really, it's fantastic to be able to kind of push your way through this very creepy, eerie mansion. It's excellent. I freaking love this game, and it just kind of came out of nowhere. I just saw a tweet from the developer a while ago, and I just kind of on a whim jumped into this game, and I haven't looked back. It's fantastic. Evil Tonight, gorgeous, excellent pixel art with like a retro anime aesthetic, wonderful combat and challenge. I really love it. Just survival horror peak. God, I love it. And I can't recommend it enough to you. Evil Tonight, absolutely a hidden gem and a must play for those seeking some survival horror. Now, I do have a correction to make from my last Hidden Gems video, and that is Lost Ruins. It is on Switch, and I'm so happy to tell you that it runs great on Switch. Now, again, I had to kind of run some tests because I hadn't played it on Switch originally, but everything's panning out. It looks absolutely gorgeous on the OLED. I freaking love it, and I'm so stoked to be diving into it further myself. I originally played it on Steam, but I cannot recommend it highly enough to you. This is Metroidvania pixel art, gorgeous. I mean, look, the boss designs are chef's kiss good. It's excellent. Really here, it is a challenging Metroidvania game. I do want to state that. However, this is such a joy to play. It's not an extremely long video game either. And again, for anybody who's kind of like off-put by some of the more challenging games, I mean, that's really in the eye of the beholder. There's some games on today's list that were kind of renowned for being tougher. Lost Ruins is a quality game, and it really just brings out the beauty of the pixel art Metroidvania genre. The lighting design in this game is kind of mesmerizing. It's really, in my humble opinion, one of the prettiest pixel art games out there. It's also quality, and it kind of makes you think in different ways to get through different types of stage hazards and such like that. It's not all just about being able to, you know, hit bosses harder or be able to get through an area in a way that you would normally think. Definitely just to be able to be aware of environmental hazards and such like that. It offers a nice unique spin on the genre, and really with that gorgeous pixel art, if you have a Switch and you're a fan of the Metroidvania genre, this is a must play in my book. Lost Ruins, pick it up. Gata Protectors to me is kind of like a Famicom fever dream. I do have a caveat for this game because playing it by yourself isn't the most fun. However, if you're going to have some friends over, this is the top of the mountain for couch co-op. I freaking love this game. I really can't wait to get my brother and a few other people over to the house to play this game. But really, it kind of takes like a MOBA genre, tower defense, and be able to mash it with just this jaw-dropping Famicom art style and aesthetic. This is one that is starting to grow in popularity. I'm starting to see larger publications kind of shout this one out. But really, for everyone out there, if you're looking for some glorious couch co-op, kind of MOBA tower defense type of game, this is a fantastic game to play. It's great for short burst play sessions, and it's one that's laced with enough nostalgia to be able to just kind of have a wonderful time with your friends and be able to pop this in and play it. God of Protectors, check it out. Now, Sword of the Vagrant has got a lot of love from the channel here recently, but I want to shout it out, at least for now, one more time, because Red Art Games, Video Games Plus, and Play Asia right now are offering physical pre-orders for this game. I'm not kidding. A couple years from now, you're going to be hearing about this game on every freaking hidden gems list for the Nintendo Switch. It's fantastic. I have overhyped this game. False. That actually can't be done. This game's fantastic. If you love Vanillaware, I think it goes without saying this game's for you. It essentially takes like Odin Sphere and Muramasa Rebirth and kind of mashes them together in just a glorious love letter to that style, to that genre. And really, it wears that inspiration on its sleeve, and it just crushes it. It hits every note that I want from it. The action RPG kind of power progression to this game is excellent. You have jaw-dropping visuals. I love the character designs. I think they speak for themselves. But also you have very fun, diverse areas with extremely fun and challenging bosses at the end of them. This is one that's not extremely challenging unless you're going for the true ending. Wow, that boss was rough. But anyways, I cannot recommend this one enough. To me, it is absolutely a must-own. It's a hidden gem. And honestly, if you don't care about picking it up physically, it's only $10 on the eShop without any type of discount. Fan-freaking-tastic game and a must-own. Check it out. Jack Move is a turn-based RPG that really just kind of develops its own type of visual aesthetic and art style. Yes, it's a pixel art game, but it just has this incredibly sleek and cool combat screen, and the turn-based gameplay is very intuitive and engaging. I love it. You have some button entry combos that you can let off. It has a very compact story with this amazing cyberpunk world. It really just draws me right in. If you're just kind of in love with the turn-based genre, but you're not really ready to saddle up for like the 50+ hour experiences, Jack Move is literally the perfect game for you. It's a very compact game. It's not going to take you overly long. I would say maybe 10 hours or such like that. It doesn't overstay its welcome. I'm really hopeful to see more from this game because I love the characters, I love the combat and the aesthetic, and just really that excellent, gorgeous pixel art. Really, that's what this Hidden Gems list video is about today. Just gorgeous, fun gameplay that you can have a blast with in under 15 hours. Heck yeah. Jack Move, totally a hidden gem. Pick it up. Now, for those of you out there who are kind of jonesing and missing the NES days of just kind of action platformers, Panzer Paladin is for you. Panzer Paladin takes a lot of the fun kind of gameplay and puzzle solving aspects of like Blaster Master with like a 2D action game that you would have like seen in Zelda 2. Really, it is just a gorgeous pixel art aesthetic, kind of like your NES 8-bit genre. You're operating a giant mech with powerful weapons. It really just helps the gameplay mechanics and such like that kind of help combat like feeling burnt out or the gameplay feeling stale or repetitive. Really was a unique experience to me. I love this type of game. This was essentially made for me. I love it, and I really think those of you out there who are kind of open to like older retro style looking games, maybe if you just recently played like Cyber Shadow and you love that older aesthetic and design to game, definitely pick up Panzer Paladin. You won't regret it. Cathedral is definitely not pulling any punches in the challenge department. Look, this is a tough, challenging game. However, I do want to state that if you're out there and you love Wonder Boy and Castlevania and you're wanting a good challenge to kind of pit yourself against this month, definitely pick up Cathedral. Really, it is a balanced, fair game, but it's not going to go easy on you. And really, though, just being able to explore and have these tough obstacles, you know, even though I wouldn't necessarily consider myself a fan of tough, you know, challenging games, and just for the sake of it, Cathedral did keep me hooked, and I found myself losing much more time than I would expect for my play sessions into this game. The map marking system is really helpful, and it's going to help ease you into these kind of like money-making excursions to go out and farm some resources to be able to upgrade yourself. A very rewarding experience when you finally crest a difficult hump in the game. Very much a love letter to older, challenging games, one that I found myself falling in love with. Cathedral, a hidden gem in my book. Now, Vambrace Cold Soul is a relatively new game to me that I've just been introduced to here recently, but I am a fan of like the Darkest Dungeon format, and I found myself shockingly falling in love with Vambrace Cold Soul. I was expecting something a little more rough around the edges. If you haven't played Darkest Dungeon, essentially it is a roguelite. You're going to put together a party and kind of form it to your own liking. There is a little bit of RNG and luck that is involved in that, and you're going to head out into these kind of dark foreboding, very much a dark fantasy type world where you're going to try to progress and conquer this evil that's in the land. I found myself just falling in love with kind of the lore and the characters and the overall oppressing vibe of this game. If you're in the mood for kind of more spooky, eerie, dungeon crawling type games, Vambrace Cold Soul is a little bit linear, to say the least, but it is one that is extremely fun to me. I love these types of games. It's something that wasn't really open to this genre before, but kind of in getting into Darkest Dungeon, it's opened me up to these types of games. And really, Vambrace Cold Soul feels like an excellent love letter to that game, and it does it justice with a very quality, excellent character designs, fun combat systems, and just a really rewarding progression system to where I found myself falling in love with it. Vambrace Cold Soul, for those of you who need a turn-based dungeon crawler roguelite, look no further. Okay, let me see if I can pronounce this next one correctly, but Kawaii Dethu Desu. Look, this is comfort food gaming to me. This game does not have a lot of depth, and that's putting it lightly here. This is perfect for some hit and run gameplay, but really you're going to do a lot of button mashing here. I don't know exactly what part of this game became so addicting to me. Playing as these pop singers slaughtering hordes and hordes of fans to harvest their souls, to increase their power level. Insanity this game has in droves. It is repetitive, but look, I'm telling you, just to be able to unlock the characters, progress further, it's a fun little game. I'm not going to say that you're going to be getting a ton of gameplay variety here. If you like the colors, you like the numbers, you like to progress in mindless, mind-numbing fun, Kawaii Dethu Desu is for you. It's a great hit-and-run game if you got a few minutes to play. Why not slaughter a horde of fans, harvest their souls, increase your power, take over the world, destroy it, who cares? Have fun with it. Check it out. Now, Touhou Luna Nights is another game that knows exactly what it's hoping to achieve. It knows what it is, and what it is a glorious love letter to Symphony of the Night. For all you Castlevania, Alucard fans out there, you're going to have a lot of fun with this. I was really taken back to kind of like the DS and PlayStation era of Castlevania games. It looks like this game had a little bit of performance issues when it came out, but from my experiences, I think a lot of that's been ironed out. There are still a little performance hiccups here and there. However, this is an extremely well-balanced and fun game. It has excellent fluid combat with some amazing boss battles and enemy designs. It's truly a well-rounded must-play for Symphony of Night fans in that genre. Really, if you are aching and missing that era of gameplay, definitely do yourself a favor and check this game out. Totally a hidden gem and absolutely worth picking up. Now let me tell you, I dug deep in my memory banks for this next one. This is a game that I think has always been a hidden gem. Now Dust takes a lot of 2D action RPG gameplay aesthetics, has an extremely fluid combat system, and mixes it with kind of RPG elements, Metroidvania genre, and what you get out of it is an extremely addictive, ultra underrated and overlooked game. This is a game that I only heard whisperings about years ago, and it's fully just fallen back into total hidden gem territory. But look, I can't tell you enough, Dust is genuinely a must play. Now look, I don't typically gravitate towards games that have like animal types aesthetics. Look, I'm a weeb, everybody tells me it in the comments, I'm self-aware, but I will say this. this is an extremely satisfying combat system, and just to be able to pull off some of these extremely fun acrobatic moves, it's intoxicating. Totally a game that deserves a lot more recognition than it gets, and it's one that I truly feel needs to come back in some capacity. I would love to see another entry from these developers and such like that. But have you played Dust, or is this game just completely lost to time? Definitely pick it up if you haven't. And rounding out the end of today's list, I have 3 games for you by one of my favorite niche developers, and that is the Diabolical Mind trilogy. Now, first up for the Diabolical Mind trilogy is Riddled Corpse. This is a twin-stick shooter, and I really feel that's where Diabolical Mind games kind of shined the brightest, with just different combat systems and such like that. What you have here is a fun but very challenging twin-stick shooter that offers some RPG elements that's going to help kind of get the ball rolling for you to be able to do it in a complete run. I am by no means incredibly good at twin-stick shooters or shmups, but I really feel though that this is like the perfect hit and run type game. It is a comfort food game to where you're just going to be having hordes of zombies and monsters and just fiends of the dead attacking you, and you're going to be kind of working your way through this a multi-leveled twin-stick shooter to have a blast. And to kind of play off of that, the most recent game from Diabolical Mind, and in my opinion easily the best of the bunch, is Demon's Tier Plus. This is a phenomenal twin-stick shooter with very approachable kind of RPG elements to be able to progress your way further down the Demon's tier, but it is so quality with just gorgeous character sprites and just a very fun, kind of intriguing, engaging story that unravels itself as you make your way down the tier. It's fantastic. But one that I'm going to throw in here, and I do want to offer some warning, is Xenon Valkyrie Plus. I personally love this game. I consider all 3 to be ultra hidden gems, but Xenon Valkyrie Plus is easily the most difficult of the bunch. It is one that offers probably the least forgiving power progression loop for you to be able to kind of make your way through. However, that said, it is still a quality game that I think even newcomers to the genre can check out. I have long form plays of this on my Let's Play playlist that will be on my channel homepage. But really, I can't recommend these 3 enough. Again, Xenon Valkyrie Plus, Riddled Corpse EX, Demon's Tier Plus, phenomenal. And I really hope these aren't the last we've seen of the Diabolical Mind games. I truly just have a genuine great time with them. They're usually dirt cheap on the eShop, and definitely pick them up. Now, the first game on today's list is Cat Maze. Now, this is a 2D Metroidvania. You know how much I love that genre, and this is just a really cute pixel art game. Now, I do want to state that this world, it definitely offers like a very cute aesthetic, obviously, with the cats and everything. However, there is some darker undertones to this story. The side quests and everything about it was just really endearing. Maybe it's just kind of playing into like the parent side in me. However, I just really think this is just a quality game that I don't hear anybody talk about at all. It does have some backtracking and such like that, but it's definitely a quality Metroidvania, and when you're going to be finding items and different familiars to help you with your combat and explore and unlock areas, it's a really great beginner Metroidvania, and it's something that I think you're going to have a lot of fun with. Now, next up, we have 8 Doors Arum's Afterlife Adventure. This is definitely going to be a little bit more of a challenging Metroidvania, maybe to somebody who's kind of an intermediate in the genre. This is definitely a Metroidvania that has elements of what you would see in like a traditional Souls game. Obviously, I know that's an extremely overused phrase, but what I mean is like you have like an Estus Flash system and like a bonfire type system. It has an extremely unique art style, which I will admit didn't immediately grab me. However, I think the uniqueness of it just kind of helped lend to just the bold direction it was heading. And I found this story also to be extremely endearing and pulling me in. I am very much eager to know more and what was going to happen. But this one has a very definite emphasis on exploring and being able to find upgrades and such like that. Definitely one that I think is going to hit the itch if you're looking for a Metroidvania that's going to pressure and challenge you a little bit more. Nuclear Blaze. The lighting in this game just makes it a goated pixel art game. You're going to be exploring in a very mysterious military complex, and there's going to be fire every friggin' where, and you're going to be finding upgrades, dodge rolls, such like that, that's going to help you to be able to take on this nuclear blaze and find out what's going on. Extremely just an addicting game, and kind of an odd, almost like ASMR like type experience, just being able to put out the flames. I don't know, maybe there's an arsonist deep down in me. I don't know. Anyways, this is a fantastic game, and one that I just think is slipping under the radar, and I had no idea that it was being offered on Red Art Games. Check it out. Now, continuing on our list, we have Heidelberg 1693. This is a 2D side-scrolling game, and picture, if you would, like Castlevania meets a Musketeer meets Evil Dead. Okay, it's a little wacky and zany with its monster designs, but its gothic and oppressive atmosphere is really fun. Now, it does have a little bit of high-stakes gameplay, I felt. Again, I wouldn't say this is extremely, like, beginner unfriendly, but it is one that I think is going to encourage you to get better at kind of utilizing the musket shot mechanic that's in this game, where you're only able to, you know, shoot your musket and then you have a cooldown and such like that. However, this is one that I think you're going to have a lot of fun with, because that high risk, high reward gameplay really kind of got addicting, and some of the enemies and monster designs just kind of begged you and taunted you to just take them out. So I love this game's use of the background and some of the stage hazards and such like that. It was just a really cool retro callback that I think a lot of people are going to have fun with, and one that I think could theoretically just go so under the radar, and then once it finally picks up traction, you'll find out the physical release was a long time ago. Anyways, Heidelberg 1693, a quality spooky game. Check it out. Now, coming up next on today's list is one that I think a lot of people are gonna really be able to click with, and that's Unsold. This is an action RPG that kind of takes like a parry and dodge system, like a dash system, similar to what you would see in like Hades. Now, I'm not gonna go as far to say this game is as good as Hades. However, I think it is a very much a quality action game that is definitely smooth and responsive. I found that its world and aesthetic to be very alluring. I thought the story is extremely intriguing. However, this is a game that does encourage you to master the combat mechanics and such, to be able to take on kind of the gank rushes that can come at you. But once it finally does click and you can kind of see the matrix and figure it out, it is ultra satisfying to just slaughter these hordes of monsters coming after you. This is a quality game I think a lot more people need to give attention to. Now, I'm so stoked to be able to see that Red Art Games is making Wartech Fighters, an action mech RPG, available. This is a game that I heard about quite a while ago, and I just naturally assumed that it was like in scalper, like reseller, like limbo, and I was just wrote it off. So I was so stoked to see that this was available. The gameplay in this is just friggin' banging, and it makes you like feel like a legitimate power creep to just dominate space in your death robot. And like, God, that's what I love. Now, if you're new to the channel, look, I gotta come clean. Mech RPGs and such like that just offer a weird fix in my brain that I just cannot get enough of. And there is a little bit of a learning curve in this game to be able to learn how to kind of manage the power resource with your action abilities and such like that. But once you kind of get into the groove of this game, I really found it to just be a flawed diamond, but a diamond nonetheless. I just really think that for mech RPG fans that you are going to find some worth in this game. It really feels like an old school PC mech game, but I found like execution attacks on weakened enemies to feel so good, and it just kept me hooked during the tougher dogfights in it. But it's by no means, again, a perfect game, but I feel that it's a quality mech game that I think fans of the genre will have a great time with, and it's very much a gear-based and less skilled game at times. So I think in that aspect, if you're just kind of, dedicated into power, advancing the power level and just upgrading your mech, you're going to have a fun time with it. Now, Helvetii is a game that I had to make an absolute top priority to be on this list. Look, all of you know how much I friggin' love Sword of the Vagrant, how much I love Vanillaware games. Helvetii is like a roguelite Muramasa the Demon Blade, okay? This game is what I think is, I just think it's a must-own for Muramasa Demon Blade fans, but as a mega fan of Vanillaware and Sword of the Vagrant, I would just be doing a disservice to you all if I didn't put this one on your radar. Look, it doesn't hold your hand, and it demands you quickly adapt to enemy and boss patterns, but for those of you who are inclined to a tough but fun game, this is absolutely one to keep in mind. With randomized level layouts, and the focus of the game is primarily on upgrading the stats of your character, you can just make your way through this game with 3 characters that range from like your typical well-rounded warrior melee combat all the way to like a magic wielding druid. It just had a lot of great variety, and I love that. So with this addictive gameplay, I just love the world and the level designs. And with this aesthetic, I just wanted to see more of it. And this hauntingly beautiful game deserves more attention than it's getting right now, and I think you're going to have a lot of fun with it coming physically to the Switch. Now, I do want to touch on Eludian Chronicle Rising. I know I'm probably saying that wrong. However, this is just a quality game that I think is the start of something big, something like akin to like a bigger franchise. You know, we do have 100 Heroes coming out, and this is kind of a prequel to that. But look, this is definitely a fun game. I think it is absolutely quality. I've got this one pre-ordered physically. This is a game that is worthy of you to check out. I don't think this is an ultra hidden gem or anything like that. I think this has gotten quite a bit of love and attention that it so deserves, but it's available physically right now through Red Art Games. Check it out. Now, Demon Gaze Extra has been available physically in the past. I've covered this game before. I think it's beyond quality. I think it's a great first-person dungeon crawling game. Look, the character and art design in this is just chef's kiss good. I think it's a quality game that has a very loyal fan base, a very rabid fan base, and I'm stoked that this is getting another physical release that's available right now through Red Art Games. This is one that I think a lot of people will regret if they don't check out later, and it's absolutely one that I think its passionate fan base is there for a reason. I think the quality of the combat and power progression in this game was extremely addictive to me, and that's coming from somebody who wouldn't necessarily call myself a baseline fan of first-person dungeon crawlers or really hard first-person dungeon crawlers. But this is one that I think has a lot of information about online, so newcomers to the genre can kind of help ease themselves into it and make their way through. But it's one that has just a very much a deep charm to it, and a series that I hope continues with further entries and such like that. Demon Gaze Extra, absolutely a must-own JRPG for anyone who's a fan of the genre. Now, as we're coming to the end of today's list, we have Metaloid Origin. Now, look, I haven't played any of the other games from this developer. This is my first one that they've made. But this game is just absolutely going to be for those who are in desperate need of more Mega Man in their life. This is a 2D action game that just has a glorious Mega Man aesthetic to it, with just an extremely fun soundtrack to sink into just a nostalgia-fueled dream. Look, I'm just going to come right out and say it, though. I'm a sucker for mechs, okay? We've covered that. But they're in this game, they're all absolutely just, you feel so powerful when you can hop in them. And just being able to pilot and hop into the mech, it's just always such a god-dang satisfying experience, okay? I genuinely just can't get enough of this game. And you have 3 characters that you can choose to play from. You have a level select system, and it just continues to follow that Mega Man format with really cool themed levels and a themed boss at the end of those levels to choose from. But I'm just going to give you a word of warning. If you find platforming games to be frustrating or difficult platforming games to be frustrating, just a word of caution here. This game it's a unique respawning method with crystals and such like that to where you use a resource to respawn. However, just don't get me wrong, this game is really fun, but I would liken it something more akin to a tougher Mega Man game. They always run. Look, I know the name of the game today is 2D action platformers, but look, that's what I've been in the mood for lately, and that's all I can share, okay? Look, the pixel art in this game is genuinely just mesmerizing, and I love the way that it looks on the OLED. But there was a game-breaking glitch with this game when it released, but I just want to let you know that it has been resolved since, okay? So you're all set to just jump straight into this and pick it up. And it is a blast, okay? This is a quality sci-fi story setting with just some excellent worlds to explore. This is some really fun action-packed gameplay, and here the emphasis is on countering enemies and utilizing your character's third arm. Look, keep it respectful and mature in the comments, alright? Like, third arm aside, despite being pretty adrenaline-filled with the combat, there are some just really generous checkpoints throughout the game that are going to help you get into the swing of combat and such as you develop with the game's skill and such like that. But definitely a fun game that I think a lot of people are going to be shocked with how enjoyable and addicting it can be. Now, second to last on today's list, we have Croixleur Sigma. Now, this is an arcade action game that has a rather simple branching story, but with some extremely satisfying gameplay and characters, and it really fits the bill of comfort food gaming. Look, that's the name of the game on this channel. I revel in comfort food gaming and JRPGs and action RPGs in particular, and Croixleur Sigma revels in the simplicity and enjoyable combat. Now, I love being able to unlock accessories and such like that for the characters and make my way through the different stages of the game, but really what it's all about, it's simple, it's fun, and it's satisfying, and it's absolutely going to hit the itch for someone who's just wanting to turn their brain off and have some hack and slash fun. Croixleur Sigma, definitely a comfort food game in my book. Now, first up on today's list is Soldiers. This has a rather infamous initial release on the Nintendo Switch. It was actually broken, but I'm happy to report back to you that this game has been patched. It is much more approachable. It runs great. It has really nice difficulty options for someone who's maybe looking for a tougher challenge, but also to help kind of newcomers to the series be able to kind of dip their toes into the higher level difficulty of games. Now, this has some of the absolute best pixel art I've seen of any game on the Nintendo Switch. I would personally put this up there with Lost Ruins as some of the most jaw-dropping games to play on the Switch, especially OLED. But that said, with this game being patched and fixed, the pixel art, the addictive combat and exploration, it is phenomenal. Now, I do want to give a word of warning. You could consider this a pro or a con. I'm going to leave it to you to decide what you're looking for. But this game can take you about 40 hours to just experience. So if you're looking for a Metroidvania to help challenge you, have gorgeous, stunning visuals, really fun and cute characters, but also just be able to be lost in and just kind of devote yourself to a game, look no further than Soldiers. I truly think this is a must play. Now, next up, we have Anno Mutationem. What I would say Soldiers does for fantasy Metroidvania, Anno Mutationem does for the cyberpunk Blade Runner type aesthetic. This is unimaginably cool. It plays excellent. It looks freaking jaw-dropping. This is my kind of game. If you want to know what kind of gamer I am, this is it right here. And these developers absolutely crushed the pixel art cyberpunk aesthetic. I would put this up there as one of the most fun worlds to just get immersed in. It's fascinating. Yes, I do love Blade Runner. I'm a sucker for that type of art and aesthetic and storytelling. But here you're going to have really energetic, cool characters, a nice mix between kind of like your stoic type lead mixed with just these quirky, fun, cute characters to kind of help flesh out this world. Truly a goated cyberpunk experience to just get completely lost in. It's an action RPG platformer. You're going to have a lot of really fun, and I considered it very smooth combat settings to just lose yourself in, and I can't help but emphasize that. This is what I want from sci-fi type games, and I really hope we get another game from this developer in the near future, because I think Anno Mutationem is must-play, must-own gaming for anyone who considers themselves a fan of pixel art. Now, next up, I have Young Souls for you. Now, I love beat-em-up RPGs. This is like a dungeon crawler type game that I would personally liken it to like Dragon's Crown for like the Vita and PS3 and 4. If you're looking for kind of like a reference point in this. But yes, you're going to be playing in almost like a beat-em-up type style, but you're going to be able to have two different characters to switch between, and you're going to be able to outfit them. You know, if you want to have the boy character to be kind of like your meat shield and be able to have kind of like a nice balance between defenses and an offense, but also you can outfit the other character to be kind of this like glass cannon rogue type character. Yes, you're going to have very mature dialogue for this, so this is not going to be a game for younger audiences and such like that, but it does have a heartwarming story that's kind of wrapped in that mature, edgy dialogue and such like that. This is a game that I really want to get some of my buds over to be able to try and play together. I haven't been able to play the co-op in this, but it looks like it's a blast. But again, it is similar in structure to Dragon's Crown, so it is a game that you can just kind of get lost in, and I very much appreciate the Cartoon Network type art style to this. Even though it's not necessarily my favorite, it's very well done, and I can very much appreciate that, and a great game is a great game. Young Souls, check it out. Now, next up, continuing along with the Metroidvania trend, look, I can only share with you what I love, and that is Ghost Song. This is a game that absolutely knows what it is, and it is an eerie, haunting, very mystical type world aesthetic, kind of wrapped in like a dystopian, kind of like maybe a little bit of Geiger haunting sci-fi elements to it, but I was very much fascinated by the world and the characters that kind of haunt it, for lack of a better word. They were really excellent to just get to know more about. But this is a Metroidvania where you're going to be gathering items to be able to progress through the world, and there's a heavy emphasis on exploration, because I had a lot of fun just running around, seeing all the disturbing imagery throughout this game. Now, it can be very much a tougher game, but there are difficulty options, again, to kind of ease newcomers into this type of game. But all in all, this is a very satisfying and haunting experience that fans of the Metroidvania genre shouldn't ignore, and definitely have it on your radar. Now, you know I am a cuckoo bananas fan of all things JRPGs, and I am growing ever more in love with the SRPG genre. I've been really challenging myself to get into it, and one series that has been shouted out to me constantly as a hidden gem are the Mercenary Saga games. Now, today I'm going to be talking about the Mercenary Saga Chronicles. This has 3 games in it. That would be Will of the White Lions, Order of the Silver Eagle, and Grey Wolves of War. These are excellent SRPGs that are going to be very much calling back to the PS1 era type games. If you are a fan of Final Fantasy Tactics, you have to at least give these games a shot. This is a long-running series, though, so I only have 3 games to share with you here today, but this is an excellent compilation that you can get physically. A couple of these games you can get physically, but I'm hoping some of these publishers are watching the channel and can give us physical versions of all the games on today's list. But you can definitely get this game physically right now. I believe it is still on Amazon for a pretty decent price. But this has dozens and dozens of hours between the 3 games to explore. I love the character art portraits and such like that, and I'm very much a fan of that old school PS1 pixel graphics and such like that. Kind of the, the SNES era and everything. I'm a sucker for it, okay? I just lean into it. I love it, but I think these are excellent SRPGs that you definitely need to give attention to if you're looking to just be intoxicated by nostalgia. It can't be a Hallowed Be Thy Game list without some waifus. And so we have Rabi Ribbi. This is a 2D Metroidvania platformer. I know you're shocked, but look, this is such a fun game. Like, I freaking love playing this game on handheld. This is just retro cute and over-the-top story where you're a bunny rabbit that's been turned into a bunny girl. I can't explain it. It's insane. And the game leans into that. This is absolutely a weird and just totally worth playing game if you're just kind of looking for a fever dream to hop into right before bed. But it is fun and challenging, kind of bullet hell type bosses mixed in with that Metroidvania gameplay. But it has gorgeous colors that look incredible on the OLED. It runs and plays great on the Switch with an incredibly addictive music track. It just matches that cute, fun, and upbeat gameplay style. I love the character portraits in this. Pixel art is animated really well. It's cuteness overload. You know what you're getting into with this. Rabi Ribbi, you gotta give it a shot. Now, there is a game developer that is quickly becoming dominant in my eyes as ultimate god tier hidden gem content. Now, for longtime viewers of the channel, you know how much I love the Diabolical Mind trilogy that you can play on Switch. you gotta check out DYA Games. They are friggin' slapping. Now, Vivette is by them. Now, if anyone who has watched my previous games, if you picked up Evil Tonight and you love that, you gotta pick up Vivette. This is a mysterious horror story. It's an isometric, pixelated Resident Evil type horror game that kind of blends elements of, like, I would say Evil Dead, Amnesia, and such like that, to where you're gonna be searching around a mansion. There's going to be this kind of terrifying thing hunting you, a lot of jump scares. I was on my edge. Yes, I am a self-admitted scaredy cat, but if I can have fun with this game, I think anyone can. There are certain tougher puzzles that are in this game, but hey, your hair's going to stand on end. You're going to be feeling like somebody's watching you. It's spooky pixel art time, and this pixelated suspense and terror mixed with just kind of all those different types of genres and aesthetics. You can find multiple endings in this. It's just a blast to play. I think this is definitely one for somebody who's looking for some old school horror games. Maybe you're reminiscent from old school pixelated spooky like Clock Tower and such like that. Definitely give Vivette a shot. Now, again, keeping it on the DYA train, we have Bot Vice. This is absolutely an addicting 2D arcade shooter, okay? Now, this is very similar to Wild Guns Reloaded on the Switch, if you have played or checked that out. But you're going to have a variety of guns and melee attacks to just blend between offense and defense abilities. You're going to be able to just have this excellent fun mix-up between like a shmup with just, again, gorgeous pixel art. I'm just loving this renaissance of indie that we're in right now. And I'm loving that there's companies out there still giving shout outs to lesser known franchises. But this is a very fun challenge type game to me. You're going to have different types of enemies and such that you're going to be wanting to prioritize to get through. But all in all, this is perfect for short burst gameplay sessions. This is definitely a game I would say like you're going to hop into for quote unquote 5 or 10 minutes and you're going to be dumping at least an hour into. Ton of fun, absolutely worth a pickup. Now, I also got to shout out Strikey Sisters, okay? This is definitely a cute and fun story about finding your lost pet. Isn't that so beautiful? I mean, it's such an endearing tale. Kind of a mix-up of like addicting pinball and Pong type gameplay. You're going to use charge attacks to help clear screens, and you're going to be modifying and upgrading your ball to overcome a different motley crew of enemies. There's some intense challenges here, and this is definitely some fun. You can have co-op as well. Again, I've sadly not been able to test out the co-op and everything, but I had a lot of fun with this, even single player. There's difficulty options in the game, along with like an in-game achievement system. So if you're somebody who's kind of looking for, you know, some things to complete and like that, I think you could have a lot of fun with this one. Again, it's just a great short hit and run type game. So definitely give this one a look if you're looking for something kind of unique and old school. Now, I couldn't stay away from my beloved JRPG series too long, and I've told you all in the past I'm going to be dipping more into the Kimco type lineup. And one that had been on my radar for a while that I've finally jumped into is Blacksmith of the Sand Kingdom. So this is a story about where a boy takes over his father's blacksmith shop, and you're going to have a shop running simulator. So if you've heard in the past where I talked about Marenian Tavern story, there's a little bit of overlap here to where you are going to be having dungeon crawling and gathering type mechanics mixed with running a shop. You're going to be putting things out to sell and managing that. And it's very well integrated to where it's not going to feel like you're being overwhelmed by that type of stuff. Because I'm not really into the sim type management things, but I did have a lot of fun and found this to be very addicting with that aspect of it. But also you're going to be assembling a party together to go out on quests. You're going to have an Adventurers Guild main quest hub, dungeon diving. This is definitely going to be for fans of older school JRPGs, because there is definitely some grinding and farming that you're going to be having to do in this game. But pair that with some gorgeous pixel art fantasy aesthetic. Oh my gosh, I'm all about it. This is definitely one I would again liken it for someone who's maybe jonesing for the older Atelier games. Definitely, it's approachable, it's addicting, and I can't recommend it enough. Blacksmith of the Sand Kingdom. And last up on today's list, we have Hero Must Die Again. Oh my gosh, I did not expect this game to be so freaking unique, weird, and awesome. I've heard next to nothing about this game, so I went into it completely blind. And this is essentially like a mix between like a roguelite genre mixed with one of the most unique takes on a JRPG I've ever seen. So essentially, the game begins with the hero dying, and he's granted an extra 5 days to kind of set his affairs in order to try to help the kingdom so that after he passes on, the kingdom can have the best result possible and he can kind of find his true love. Okay, this is a very endearing and shockingly heartwarming story that really hit me in the feels. And if you're somebody who's maybe growing really tired of anime tropes, even though characters do follow those anime tropes in this game, they're also presented in such an ultra unique way. I found myself fascinated by it. I'm still working on getting the true ending in this, but essentially what you'll do is you'll play through the final 5 days of his life, and don't let the timer system put you off at all. It's really woven in so well that it becomes a really fun time management mechanic to where you're trying to optimize your travel time, your items, and your resources, because as you get closer to your death, you get much more weaker. So at the beginning of the game, you're one-shotting everything, even like the final boss. But by the end, you're definitely having to equip some lower tier items and rely more on your party members and your structure to be able to make it through those challenges and unlock that true ending. Truly a phenomenal, unique experience that I've had a lot of fun with. Gorgeous character art, gorgeous maps and aesthetic, and very fun, serviceable turn-based combat system to where you're just going to be optimizing that time. Excellent game, and one that was very refreshing for me to play. Well, there you have it. Those are over 70 hidden gems for the Switch. Oh my gosh, has time flown for this channel and for the Nintendo Switch. I love it so much. I look forward to seeing your recommendations down in the comments. What's your favorite hidden gem on the console? I can't wait to hear about it. And also consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed today's video. I want to thank the channel members and patrons for all your support over the years. It has just been such a fantastic blessing for my family. And I look forward to reading your comments as I am rocking my new baby to sleep. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you next time.